Hi, so I'm going to talk about happiness and success, and it's basically a follow-up to what Josh and Camille were talking about and what Laszlo said. So the idea is with all this big data being created using our mobile phones, we have very rich fine-grained knowledge about people, and we can use some of this to study these quantifiable behavioral measures of success. I'm Vivek. I work with the Human Dynamics Group. Professor Sandy Pentland and Peter are my co-authors. And the big idea, as I already said, was that we want to study success, and success defined in a particular way. We are trying to study happiness and productivity at community level. And how we're going to do this is we are going to use mobile phone features. We have a big data set, about 10 million data points, a residential community for about a year, and we study different patterns of communication and how they talk to each other. And our aim is to build like something like this Dow Jones index for happiness. And you can see happiness, average happiness level in the community. It varies over time. But can we devise some passive mechanisms using mobile phones? Can we predict this? Can we understand this? And can we intervene this so that we can make our communities more happy, more productive, and at least build a science around this whole thing? So in order to do that, So in order to do this, we will start in this small way that we ask people daily questions about how happy are you today on a scale of 1 to 7. So there were 130 days, some 130 roughly users, and we basically take this average level of happiness and productivity. And then we start defining a bunch of features. Let's look only at calls. And these features can be at an individual, like an ego network of that person, or at a community level. And at an ego level, the things which you measure can include things like, oh, how many events of interaction were there, how many times did you call, within that, how many were from the community, how many were friends, and so on. How many people, different people did you call, what was the directionality, incoming, outgoing, hours. Also, there could be features at a community level, like density and correlation over there. And we are going to do some simple linear regression. We are going to validate it using cross, leave one out, and we use some feature selection using subset evaluation, I guess. You can forget about the numbers. The idea is that, yes, it is possible to predict happiness to a reasonable level. And of course, we are not talking about any causality, but we do see significant correlation. So if you take all these mobile phone signals of a community, you can predict both happiness as well as productivity levels over a period of time, like 100 plus days. And when we started looking at this data, we tried to see what are those features which are really useful. And I'm going to zoom in onto like one feature. So this is the happiness Z-score, and also the single rank, the topmost feature, which was the percentage of time, face-to-face time do you spend with the closest contact. So you can see there are some patterns it's trying to follow. There are two things. One is this whole weekly effect, which you will see up and down. And second is this feature was interesting, that it's a ratio of time spent rather than the time spent itself. So we started zooming in a little bit more into this, both of these aspects, and trying to understand what's going on. So let's look a little bit more closely about this whole weekly effect. Is it just that, yeah, things happen weekly and we were able to capture that weekly thing and there was nothing beyond it in the mobile signal? And also why this time spent ratio, especially because this weak tie and strong ties have been well studied in literature, but maybe not at this daily basis. So what we did was we tried to take a simple feature, just a weekday or weekend, and see what kind of correlations coefficients we got. And they were there. It was like 0.41. It was much smaller than what we were able to get using all this data. And then we tried to just remove all the weekend data, focus only on only the weekday, and we still found significant correlation. So yeah, clearly using all this mobile phone is adding some value in understanding what's going on with the community. So now let's look at what happens with this time spent. So we wanted to study is happiness related to the time you spend with others, and more importantly, is it also related to what percentage of time you spend with your strong ties and weak ties? And the strong and weak ties can be defined in multiple ways. We are going to use self-reported surveys on a scale of 1 to 7, how close you are. And strong are like 4 and 7, weak are 1 and 3. Below 1, we say you're not even tie, and we ignore those mid-levels. And we got similar results with different thresholds. We've tried all of them. And what we found was that the time which you spend overall is not significant predictor of happiness, but the time which you spend with your strong ties is positively related to your happiness. Weak ties, it's significant, it's negatively. So you basically want to spend time with your spouses, your close friends, and so on. In the productivity, it was just the opposite. So if you want to be more productive, meet people you don't really want to meet, and that's good. And and so what we are trying to do is use all these community level big data sensing and build this mobile happiness index, just like Dow Jones index. And for socialization, it seems who you spend time with is much more important than how much time you spend. Thank you.